Okay, so you've probably heard this term cloud native thrown around everywhere in the tech world, right? But what does it, actually mean? Well, it's way more than just another buzzword. It's a total game changer for how we build and run software. So let's dive in and demystify this thing.
All right, let's get right to the heart of it. Why is everyone so hyped about this? Why are we calling cloud native the undisputed future of software? Well, it really just comes down to a few huge advantages that you only get with the cloud.
First off, think about global scale. I mean, with the cloud, you can launch an app and boom, it's available to a worldwide audience pretty much instantly. You don't have to stress about setting up your own data centers in different countries. That whole massive infrastructure, it's already there, just waiting for you. And then there's the money side of things, which is a huge deal. The cloud can be way more cost effective. Why? Well, because you're not shelling out a ton of cash to buy and maintain your own expensive servers. Instead, you're on a pay-as-you-go model. You literally only pay for what you use. It's a massive shift.
And the last big one, constant innovation. The big cloud platforms are always updating, always adding the latest and greatest tech. For developers, this is amazing. It means they get to play with and use new tools and features the second they come out. Your apps can stay right on the cutting edge without you having to reinvent the wheel. Okay, but here's the thing, and this is probably the most important point we'll make today. Cloud native isn't just about the tech or just using the cloud. It's a complete cultural shift. We're talking about a whole new way of thinking, about software, about how teams work, everything. And you can really see the difference when you put them side by side. The old way, well, that was all about these giant, clunky applications. We call them monoliths. You'd have different teams working in their own little bubbles, and updates were these huge, scary events that happened only a couple of times a year. Now contrast that with the cloud-native way. It's all about a DevOps culture. Think small, frequent updates, breaking big apps into tiny, manageable microservices, and having teams that actually work together. It's a night and day difference. And that really gets to the core of it, right? This quote says it all. The tools are cool, but the real magic and the real challenge is that shift in mindset. You have to stop thinking about an app as one giant piece of code and start seeing it as a team of smaller, independent services, all cooperating. So that's the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. How are these cloud-native apps actually built? Let's break down the core practices. Okay, the engine that drives all of this is something called the CI/CD pipeline. That stands for continuous integration and continuous delivery. Think of it like an automated assembly line for your code. Devs are constantly adding their work, a system automatically builds and tests it, and then it gets shipped out to users super frequently. The result? You get feedback way faster, and the quality of the software just goes up. Now, to make that assembly line run smoothly, you need a standard way to package things up. That's where containerization comes in. A container is basically a standardized little box. You put your app and everything it needs to run, all the code, the libraries, the settings, all of it gets packed inside. This makes it super lightweight and, most importantly, portable. It'll run the same way anywhere. And when you talk about containers, you're going to hear two names over and over: Docker and Kubernetes. Docker is the tool you use to actually build and run one of these containers. It's fantastic. But what happens when you don't have one container, but hundreds or even thousands? How do you manage all that? Well, that's what Kubernetes is for. It's the orchestrator. It's like the conductor of a huge orchestra, telling all the containers where to go, how many there should be, and what to do. It automates all that complex management. And all of this enables the idea of a microservices architecture. So remember that giant, clunky monolith we talked about? With microservices, you do the opposite. You break that big application down into a bunch of tiny, independent services. Each one has just one job, and it does that job really well. The beauty of this is you can update or scale just one tiny part of your app without messing with anything else. I love the analogy of a city. Instead of one giant skyscraper, you have a whole city of smaller, specialized buildings. It's way more flexible and resilient. All right, so now we've got this system with all these little microservices running in containers, all managed by Kubernetes. It sounds amazing, right? And it is, but it's also way more complex than the old way. So how on earth do you keep track of what's going on inside this complicated system? Well, that's where we need to talk about the shift from just monitoring to something called observability. And this is a really, really important difference. Monitoring is pretty simple. It tells you that something is wrong. You get an alert, hey, the server is down. That's monitoring. Observability is the next level. It helps you figure out why something is wrong. It gives you the power to ask new questions about your system in real time to diagnose those tricky problems you didn't even know you should be looking for.
So how do you get this observability? It's really built on what people call the 3 pillars. First, you've got logging, which is just a record of events. This happened, then this happened. Then there's tracing, which is super cool. It follows a single user's request as it bounces between all those different microservices, so you can see its whole journey. And finally, alerting, which lets you know when something's off. When you put all 3 together, you get a really rich picture of your system's health.
And it all works in a kind of cycle, a continuous loop. You're constantly collecting all this data, the logs, the traces, from all your services. Then you analyze it, looking for anything weird or out of the ordinary. If the system spots a problem, it sends out an alert. And then, using all that rich context, your team can jump in and fix the issue. It's a constant cycle of improvement. Naturally, you don't have to build all this from scratch. There's a whole ecosystem of really powerful tools out there to help you do this stuff. You've probably heard of some of them. Companies like New Relic, Datadog, AppDynamics, Splunk, they all specialize in giving you that deep visibility into these complex systems. Okay, let's zoom back out and put all the pieces together. When you take this new way of thinking, this new culture, and you combine it with practices like CI/CD and microservices, and you support it all with observability tools, what you get is just a fundamentally better, faster, and more reliable way to build software. And believe me, this isn't just a passing trend. This is the new standard. So when you boil it all down, a truly cloud-native app has these 4 hallmarks. 1, it's portable. It can run on any cloud. 2, it's modular, built from those small components we talked about. 3, it's elastic, meaning it can automatically grow or shrink to handle traffic. And 4, it's resilient. If one little piece fails, it doesn't bring the whole thing crashing down. The system can heal itself. So here's the bottom line. The technology is here. It's powerful, it's mature, and it allows us to do some pretty incredible things with software, to be faster, bigger, and stronger. But the tech is only half the battle. The real question goes back to that cultural shift we mentioned at the beginning. The future is absolutely cloud native. So the only question left is your thinking ready for it?